Yo, what's up? So I just saw Kovian's video on Dalen, and bro, the patch notes really undersell him. They undersold him like mad, man. I'm just gonna go through the skills like the S1, just as listed, bleed, and then you see the S2, which is right here. I'm gonna be talking about the S3 later. Deals damage to one enemy, which is as listed here. Double slash inflicts stun and defense down on the target. It doesn't say one enemy, it just says the target, so we can assume it's one target, and here it already says one enemy. But when you look at this, right, Hydro Inferno combo inflicts diseased on the target. Keep in mind, the target. When you hear the target, what do you expect? AoE or single target? And then when you read the Ascension, right? After Ascension, this ability has a chance to dispel all enemies. Make it make sense. But when you look at the preview that DISLYTE has posted, this is hopefully the correct version. And if this is the correct version, he could be pretty good. A much needed AoE buff stripper, free to play AoE buff stripper. This hopefully is the true one. You can see this. Deals damage to all enemies based on Dalen's attack, reducing their AP. Okay, you look at the patch notes. Inflicts disease on the target. So there's no disease on his S3. It's reducing AP, which is 10 times better, infinity times better, because disease in this game is completely useless. Clara cleanses it, Ahmad just completely bypasses it, Hengyue heals over it. Yeah, disease is completely useless in this game. And after Ascension, deals damage to all enemies based on Dalen's attack, reducing their AP, has a chance to dispel all enemy buffs and debuffs. Okay. So the reason why I say he might be good addition to the game, because right now we don't have 1 second, let me just run this. Right now we don't have any reliable free to play AoE buff stripper. Lucas cannot AoE buff strip on targets that have multiple buffs. Not even multiple, just 2 buffs. he becomes really unreliable when it comes to enemies with 2 buffs, because he number one, he does not have he misses on type disadvantage, unlike Tricky. His dispel chance is only 50%. It's actually 40% if you don't have him skill up. Yeah, 50%, it's not good at all, even though it's three hits, but it's 3 hits with the chance of dispelling 1 buff, so that's not good. 1 buff, not good, especially with this low of a chance. And then the next AoE buff stripper we have, that's free to play. I think that's it. Arcana is like also 1 buff. Let me see. Yeah, he steals 1 buff from each enemy. It's only 1 buff, and he is pretty garbage, let's be honest. He hasn't been used by anyone in this game, unless you're like a content creator trying out some janky teams. And then the next sort of free to play buff stripper is Bonnie. She is a 100% chance of stripping 1 buff with a 50% of 2 buffs. She's better than Lucas at dispelling multiple buffs. And then the rest of the AoE buff stripper is all very limited characters. Raven in SSM, she dispels all buffs. She's also a shimmer, so she won't miss. That means she only has a 20% chance to fail on each target. The next one, Tricky, the best one when it comes to less than 3 debuffs, because he has a 100% chance to dispel as well, even though it's one dispelling buff. And he also cannot miss. Loki won't miss, which means he does not care about type disadvantage, unlike Lucas. So he's kind of like a shimmer. And then the next one is Ggez. This guy does everything, you already know it. Dispels all buffs from them, inflicts buff blocker. He has 100% accuracy, not much to say there. But he is subjected to type disadvantage, which means on type disadvantage he has a 50% chance to miss. So he's like the third best AoE buff stripper. And this guy in particular, the reason why I'm saying AoE buff stripper is important is because of this stage in particular, Infinity Tower. If you don't have Tricky, Raven or Ggez, this stage is almost impossible. There's one solution, which is to reroll, and it's not a low amount of reroll. This Gabrielle will guarantee take the first turn unless you have like a Unas with 250 speed or something. So that won't happen. Yeah, you need a reliable AoE buff stripper here, and Lucas cannot do it, Bonnie cannot do it. Lucas and Bonnie can do it, but you can't get a full 6-star, which means in order to reliably get a 6-star on this stage, you need either Raven, Tricky or Ggez. I have not seen anyone do it without. I did it, but it took me over 1000 attempts. Let me get this clear. 1000 attempts to clear this stage, because the requirement to clear the stage is to reroll until the enemy Gabrielle uses the S2 instead of S3, and the chance of that happening is 0.5%. So on average, you need 200 rerolls for the run to be doable. Once you get this, you need the run to be smooth. You stun everyone. If you fail to stun someone, that's a dead run. You have to reroll another 200 times. Yeah, it's just too much because there's no reliable stripper that is free to play. If Dalen has a chance to dispel all enemy, I am hoping it's 100%, but it's a free to play unit, so I don't think they're gonna give him 100%. If it's an 80% chance, I think it's okay. It's still going to be better than Lucas, I think. If it's a 50% chance, yeah, that's gonna be a problem. Because I think he's gonna be the best AoE buff stripper for free to play players. But the problem is he also dispels debuffs, and that's a problem when you run a control team, which means after you use his S3, you remove everyone's buff, and the following turn when you get his S3 again, you cannot really use it because a control team, you're gonna be running stun characters. The enemy is gonna be stunned, and you use this S3, it's gonna remove them out of stun. I also have some idea with him, like if you use him with the Tricky, but the only problem is with Tricky, it specifically says, whoops, sorry about that, my remote just fell. It specifically just says if an enemy, it says an enemy causes their allies debuffs to end early, reduces the enemy's HP by 30%, dispels all buffs from the enemy, and inflicts petrify. It says the enemy, and how it works if for example, if Sally uses S3 and then the ally enemy takes a turn, cleanses off them a single debuff, the one that gets petrified is Sally. It's not the unit that took the turn. So I don't think it's gonna work with Sobek. I hope it doesn't work with Sobek actually, because if it does, then it's going to make Tricky even more overpowered than he already is. He's already one of the best characters in the game. PvP, PvE. The only place he's bad at is Ritual Miracle and like Desolate Lands and DSL. Everywhere else you can pretty much use this guy. So yeah, they really messed up on the patch notes, undersold him way too fucking hard. In this one he actually looks pretty good. If the chance is like, I'm really hoping they give him 100%, but it's like 80%. I think it's still okay. Anything lower, yeah, I'm not too sure about that. Yeah, that's about it. Just wanted to make this video. That's it. Ciao.